Hello, I'm Delusion Dispeller. I'm a life coach, and I've also been making videos since 2006. And I am here to talk to you some more about threats, triggers, all the ways that you may feel as a result of narcissistic abuse. So, triggers. Some of these stay with you for a long, long time. Some of these can stay with you for a lifetime if you don't heal from the abuse. A lot of times your mother or father's disapproving voice is what's going on, and it eventually turns into your own disapproving voice, an inner voice that's constantly calling you names, putting you down, sometimes telling you shouldn't try that, you're too dumb, you know you're clumsy, you'll just ruin things, you're just gonna knock things over, you're gonna hurt yourself. What were you thinking trying to do that? They deserve it much more than you do. And you aren't thin enough for that. Or you're too fat. You're too lazy. You'd never make it up that hill. Those kind of things. I'm not saying every parent that ever said that to you is a narcissist. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying narcissists use these things in excess to control, dominate, manipulate, and make you do what they want you to do, and make you feel ashamed and bad about yourself, till it becomes your own voice telling you these things, even as an adult. So your caretakers, when abusive, are like controllers, puppet masters even. Some people call them handlers or programmers. Their approval is what you are constantly seeking, wanting, longing for. But when you don't get it, you will take the only attention you can get, which often is negative attention. You may do things and find yourself doing things that you never would want to do. But because they bring you some form of attention and approval from this narcissistic person, you will do it. Sometimes the only attention you received as a child was being scolded. Bad girl. You didn't make mommy proud today. You embarrassed me in front of those people. Shame on you. There's another one. When the parent or egg donor, if it happens to be a narcissist, stopped scolding you for a moment, you thought, oh good, at least they're not scolding me right now. But then it got quiet and you got used to the scolding, and that meant attention. So then you acted up again to try to get their attention, and they didn't know what to do with you because you were a shaming force in their life. You were making them look bad. So then the abuse started up again, and it's like a vicious cycle, and it goes different ways with different narcissistic people, but basically it's a cycle that you act up, they react, they stop reacting, you act up to get them to act, etc. You know the drill. Okay, you become an adult, like I said, doing things that you really don't even approve of. This is called cognitive dissonance, because you're going against what your brain is telling you believe in and what is right for you. And you're like, what am I doing this for? This is not me at all, but I'm finding myself doing this. I think in the Bible there's an apostle, Paul, that said the same thing. The things that I want to do, those things I don't do, and the things that I don't want to do, I find myself doing those things. I think that's a good example of cognitive dissonance. Okay, so I'm going to go down on my notes here just a second. Got my other little computer up here that I'm looking at. So you act up in in future relationships, basically trying to get a reaction out of people, just like they were your caretaker that you were trying to get a reaction from. And there is a word for this. It is called something history. Again, it escapes my mind, but it's basically repeating history in order to reenact the abuse, the neglect, whatever, and get it right this time. So, yeah, it's not a good, I think it's historic reformation, or I don't know. If anybody knows what that definition is, please let me know. Sam Vaknin talks about it. Okay, so you often find yourself in relationships that are very familiar to what you grew up with, where you're doing your mate's bidding without question, where there's fear of consequences if you refuse to do what they say. Before long, you forget who you used to be, or who you are, or who you were, and who you were moving forward toward becoming. And you concede to be the puppet that your puppeteer, your caretaker and eventually mate, friend, teacher, pastor, whoever.